Well, hi there! Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I am so glad to have you here with me today. This is going to be the first installment of a series I want to do where I follow really terrible 60s and 70s crochet and knitting patterns. There were some truly wild patterns created during this time period, and I think it'd be really fun to recreate them here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our first item on the list. I'd like to introduce you to the Mad Cap. So this nightmare of a pattern was the featured cover pattern from a 70s crochet magazine. The description of the Mad Cap reads, "The Mad Cap on our cover, pulled down well over the ears and with cutouts for eyes, would make a conversation piece in any ski wardrobe." No lie detected here. I'm sure this hat would indeed make quite the conversation piece. Well, nothing left to do but to go ahead and give this pattern a go and see what the heck we come up with. So this pattern requires us to use 2 strands of a sport weight yarn that we will crochet together as just 1 strand. And we will be using a size G crochet hook. And when I'm crocheting in the round, I always like to use little stitch markers because it makes it really easy to determine the end of one row and the beginning of the next, which just makes life easier. With this hat, like a lot of crochet hats, it's going to start at the top and we're going to work our way down. And so we're just going to start with a little tiny circle and we will just essentially make the circle bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we'll have a hat. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So there we have our little tiny circle. So we're going to go ahead and just start making that bigger and bigger. Okay, so that's the end of our first row. So you can see we've got a little nub going on here. So this is going to be the very tip of the hat. And so I'm going to go ahead and mark my row and we'll get started on the next row. This whole pattern is done using the US half treble crochet stitch. In each round, I'm doing a certain number of increase stitches, which causes the circumference of the round to get bigger and bigger so that we can fit this hat onto our noggin. And here I am carrying on my way, stitching and stitching and stitching. Something's happening here. We're 7 rows in, about halfway, and we're getting this nice little cone shape. This is my favorite part of a pattern, is when it actually starts to take a shape and it gets you excited. So I'm excited to see how this totally ridiculous pattern turns out and to see what this looks like. So let's go ahead and keep on trucking along. Alrighty folks, we are almost to the end of this hat. It's really coming out to be something, that's for sure. I just want to show you what we've done so far. We started off with our little circle up here and then we increased our rows until we got to about here. You see where it kind of tapers off and goes straight. The pattern, I think it was for like 8 rows, the pattern had us not increase anymore and just keep the same length going down to here until we got down here to the eye part, which I was really interested how they were going to do these eye cutouts, and it was actually way more simple than I thought it was going to be. So what we did was, once we got down to here, instead of going all the way in the round like we had been doing for the rest of the hat, we started here, we went around, I think it was like 28 stitches, and then once we got here, we just flipped it over and just went back around. So like you would be working a normal crochet piece where you get to the end, flip it over and just go back around. So we did that until we got to here, and now we'll just make this long chain of crochet and connect it to here, and then we'll continue in the round for a couple more rows to finish it out, And then we'll disconnect our yarn, go back in, join here, and then we'll create our little eye cutouts. Is this gonna look like the picture of the pattern? I don't know. I'm starting to have my doubts, but you know what? There's only one way to see, and that's to finish this thing. So let's go ahead and rock it out. So I thought I was recording, but I wasn't when I crocheted this little nose flap here. All I did was I put my hook in here and crocheted a row of 6, then 5, then 4 to create a little angle here. And so what I will do is get a needle, and with this loose end here, I will sew it together to this bottom part, so that'll connect there. And then the last step is to get a gray yarn like they use in the photo and create this contrasting stitch around both of the eye holes, and then we will be done and we'll go ahead and try this bad boy on. So let's finish this thing up. All right, everyone, the moment we've all been waiting for, the final reveal. Prepare yourselves to be gagged. All right, ladies and gentlemen, ta-da! We have the finished product here, the Madcap. I am looking myself here in the viewfinder, and I can't stop because, my God, I look like a madman. Holy mackerel. Definitely a lot different than our cover picture. I'm actually beginning to wonder if they are the same pattern. The photo to the pattern, the hat seems very rounded. The top is very kind of round and it kind of is tapered down the side. This pattern that I made is very pointy and very, I don't know, I'm just not really getting the kind of pizzazz. Plus, I did have to put some polyfill in the top here, which they do not include in the pattern, or they do not mention anything about, because without it, this thing is a real saggy, sad guy. This is pure madness. This was something. This was definitely a choice. Could you imagine? Could you imagine wearing this somewhere? Definitely a conversation starter. My God. If you enjoyed this video, give me a good little thumbs up. If you want to see more in this crazy series, give me a little subscribe. Well, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me, and yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.